Hey everybody, it's Norm from Tested. I'm here down in Frank Ippolito's shop where he has set up a big CNC router from CNC Router Parts. Of course, this is Drew. You remember from the last video, Drew's still down here helping us set this up, and I wanted to have you help us make a project using a vector file.
Yep. So Plasma is great for converting DXFs or any normal vector file into awesome 2D artwork or something functional, and especially great for signs.
Yes, signage, exactly. Making a nice, thick, big steel sign. So we have our tested logo as a vector file, and maybe this would be a good chance for you to help us run through what that workflow is to turn that into something that works in the CNC.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay, Drew, so what software did your team use?
So this is Vectric VCarve, and so we're importing the DXF now, or the vector file you sent us. And you can see it has this cool 3D effect that you guys accomplished with some different colors. Of course, we can't use different colors in Plasma, so we're going to be creating some offset vectors here, some boxes, some windows on the edges of the part to sort of give that 3D illusion.
Right.
So we're using the offset tool here. VCarve is great because it has a lot of really intuitive and really powerful tools to modify, especially vectors and 2D artwork.
Now, if this was, for example, something we were laser cutting out, the width isn't something we need to consider. Is that something you need to consider when you're thinking about plasma cutting?
In plasma cutting, it is important, the width for your plasma torch and for what your feeds and speeds are and your arc voltage, but all those parameters, at least the arc voltage, is not set within Vectric VCarve. It's actually set in a plugin from Mach 3, which is our control software. The feeds and speeds we will be inputting into VCarve later during the CAM process.
And then, so this is a little bit of artistic license here, and it's retaining that 3D effect that we have in our logo, and then you guys chose to drop out the center of the text and then have the rest of the sign be steel, making sure it's going to be heavy, nice and weighted.
That's right. So just like a stencil, you can think of any plasma cut sign like a stencil, where you'll need to fill in any sections where the center of letters might fall away as you cut out those holes.
Right. So, for example, in the A for Adam, you need to actually have that connect to the outside, so you can draw some lines.
Right. Exactly. So you can see now we're eliminating the vectors that make up the full D shape, just so that there's something for the center of the D to hang on to the rest of the sign.
And not just on one side, but on both sides.
So it's well supported.
Nice. So when you're done with this, what type of file are you sending over? Is it back over a Fusion 360? Where does this file go?
So you'll use the CAM side of things to generate some G code, and that G code will be executed by Mach 3.
And that G code is generated right into VCarve?
You can generate in VCarve or SheetCam or Fusion 360. All of them have Plasma options.
So Drew, while the sign here is cutting, last time we talked a little bit about the types of machines you guys make, but how did you guys get started making CNC machines?
So the company was founded around 2008, and it was actually set up by a guy in his garage selling parts to serve the DIY routing community. And as that started to grow and grow, it has eventually changed into almost entirely full machine kits. So that's definitely our primary business. Although we'll still sell parts a la carte. So we'll sell you as little or as much CNC machine as you need.
Right, that's what the company's called, CNC Router Parts.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's a very
but really now it's CNC Router Machines and other accessories.
Very much so. The name is a little bit outdated, unfortunately, at this point. But we sell a ton of full machine kits. We have a benchtop size, and we have that full-size machine that we have in your shop. And those start at a 4-foot by 2-foot work area, and you can build them out because we talked about it being modular and scalable, and the ability to just keep expanding that workspace for as much travel as you need.
Well, as a mechanical engineer and industrial designer, really, how do you choose what type of drives and what type of category in the whole spectrum of CNC machines? Because you guys could have chosen something that was maybe cheaper and a smaller scale, but this is like, where does this fit in that spectrum of CNC machines?
So these machines, the reason we chose the drive systems we did, and the reason that we chose the motors that we did, and all the components are really to serve that again, that modular scalability is just a great business model for this market, and that is for people who are starting small businesses, people who want this capability in their garage, sort of like the next table saw, the next big power appliance that people are going to have in their home shops. It's a great tool for any woodworker, or like I said, for production shops, even doing cabinetry work or furniture building. And so in that market space, it's really advantageous to be able to get a kit through your door and get it into your basement or into your garage, and not have to get a fork truck just to install your machine. And it's something that anybody can install. You saw we did it in 2 days. It was a little bit hectic, but we managed to get it all done, and it wasn't challenging. We had great IKEA-style instructions, and it makes it so that anybody can have one of these.
And I think some of the most daunting parts of running a CNC machine isn't just the assembly. Anyone can follow these instructions and get support, but it's the software, it's the pipeline. Now, you just ran me through how to turn a vector into something that's going to work on a plasma cutter, but the software was never this easy. Like 5 years ago, the whole workflow would have been much more complicated.
Right, so I think this business model and this market in particular, now is the right time. All the pieces are falling into place. The mechanical components are getting cheaper, the electronic components are getting cheaper, and the software is now at a place where it's easy to learn. In a lot of cases, it's free or very affordable, and lots of people are getting their hands on CAD software and just diving right in.
Now, what about safety? How are you guys providing safety support? And because people are presumably working in their garages or maker spaces and not necessarily in facilities where people are well trained in safety.
Sure. So as far as the support goes, we pride ourselves on having great customer support, and we're always willing to talk for as long as it takes to get you running on the phone or over Skype or whatever you need. And feel free to email us or call us at any time. I want to make sure that people know that we're available. As far as safety is concerned, we like to explain to people that a CNC machine really in a lot of ways is safer than most common garage power tools, because once it's running, as long as you've done a great job of holding your workpiece down, it's not going to get removed from the table by the spindle, then there's no need for you to get your hands anywhere near the cutting tool. So you can be well away from anything potentially dangerous while the machine's in operation.
And what's next for CNC Router Parts? Are you guys looking to add fourth axes, fifth axes, I guess in the case of having a two-head machine?
Absolutely, yeah. We're always working on something new. There's a huge list of projects back at the shop waiting for me to dive back in when I get home. But fourth axis is definitely next on the list.
Awesome. Let's take a look at this sign. Okay, wow, this is it. This is that sign. Popped out, of course, of that sheet.
That's right.
This looks amazing.
Yeah, they're great, especially with a little bit of an orbital sanding finish on the front. It shines things up really nice.
Having a bed this size just changes the type of scope of things you're thinking of when you're going to build things.
I constantly have new ideas of crazy ways to make things, so this will be fun.
And I like that as you showed in the vector modification, almost gives it like a little bit of a Blade Runner vibe.
Ooh,
yeah,
a little bit.
which I think
well,
Adam
maybe
would like.
font choice comes into play
Absolutely.
at that point.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So the CAD CAM pipeline is something we're going to pick your brains more about later. It's definitely like a thing that your team members have to learn and work through. Where's a good place to get started? If you don't have access to a big CNC like this, you said there are free tools. Like, what's a good, if people want to get into CNCing, where can they start?
Fusion 360 is a great CAD CAM suite, and that's available for free from Autodesk as long as you're not a big business or anything like that. If you're just a home shop or home enthusiast.
Student licenses and stuff.
Exactly, yeah. And then if you want to get started in CNC, there's lots of maker spaces and tech shops and things like that all over. Yeah, just find your local maker space or find somebody who has a CNC machine or a school that is willing to let you borrow some time and have at it. Yeah.
Yep.
And then safety-wise, how do you equip a shop up safety-wise to run a machine like this?
Yeah, well, luckily we have a lot of safety stuff here at the shop. We have a great dust collection for the router. We have a big, huge bay door right here, so when we're plasma cutting, we can open that and throw some fans on it. So ventilation is important. Eye safety, having these glasses, and I was even wearing my welding helmet when I was looking at it. I mean, you could never be too safe with any of these kind of things. So.
Yeah, the whole process, it's mesmerizing is how I describe it.
Yeah, it's fun to watch, but you gotta be sure you have your Shade 5 glasses on.
Yeah, and when you're CNC routing stuff over here and then you switch over to plasma, you have to be careful that the fallout from that doesn't catch any of this stuff on fire. So you always want to be sweeping up any dust, cleaning things up. You don't want the place catching on fire.
It's especially true with things like MDF, where there's a lot of fine particulate.
Yep.
What are the materials you think you'll be using most?
One of the first things I want to do on this is I want to cut some 3D shapes out of really dense urethane foam. So it's going to be urethane foam next.
Foam. Love using foam.
Yeah.
And for a machine like this, cuts foam pretty fast?
Absolutely, it'll rip through foam.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, Drew, thank you so much for coming to Burbank from Washington. We're going to have you come back and hang out with Frank and I in the
Yes,
shop.
need you down here more.
Definitely, it's been my pleasure, and I'm happy to come back anytime.
Awesome. And now we have a sign.